There's been an idea hovering around in my mind lately about the relative quality of gaming. I've written up short articles and had lengthy discussions on it, but I don't think I found a game quite as ideal to use as an example before playing LA Noire. Upon release back on May 17, 2011, the game hit immediate praise from critics and fans alike, still currently maintaining a Metacritic score of 89. Now, before the term bias gets thrown in the cog, I can't really say I like Rockstar as a company. Liking a developer or publisher and enjoying a single game or two are completely different things. Unfortunately, most gamers don't realize this thought consciously. As a younger gamer, I truly enjoyed my time in the Grand Theft Auto series. I was too young to remember much of Grand Theft Auto 3, but Vice City is still one of my favorite sandbox games of all time, or at least it is until I choose to replay it. Most gamers would rationalize that since they liked several Grand Theft Auto games from the PlayStation 2 and Xbox era, that they naturally like Rockstar as a company in whole. This could be regardless of whether they've touched the Midnight Club or Max Payne 1 and 2. The best modern comparison to this I can think of is Gearbox. I have no shortage of distaste towards that company, but I cannot deny what Borderlands means to a large chunk of gamers. Then we look at Duke Nukem Forever, Aliens Colonial Marines, and Brothers in Arms, which I'm still convinced no one I know has actually played an entry in. So here I am in 2013, playing a Rockstar published title. I'm old enough to know that before going in, this is not from the same creator of Grand Theft Auto 4, at least entirely. Granted, Rockstar has several branches, which is part of the problem of sharing the same name. But I'm going to go right out and say it. I did not enjoy playing LA Noire. I certainly enjoyed many of its elements, primarily the world building, theming, the scale of the story, the soundtrack, and the ending in regards to the actual cutscene itself. When looking at the game in terms of literal gameplay, I'm unsure who this actually appeals to. There are a few other blatantly detective-styled games I can think of, being CSI, Sherlock Holmes, and NCIS, but I'm intentionally avoiding research on this genre. But on my immediate level of understanding, it's not a big genre, and not many people play the games it's made of. Yet, LA Noire places the gamer in the shoes of an up-and-coming detective in the 1940s, located in Los Angeles, California. To reiterate, I love the world building. The map itself is wonderful to me, but it's the gameplay in regards to searching for clues and talking with NPCs that boggles me. Another asterisk I have to shove in is that I really totally followed a complete walkthrough of the game. I cheated, any way you slice it, but I didn't want to, at least not at first. I played the first real level of the game in the traffic desk completely blind. I found what clues I could, and I interrogated the NPCs based on what I truly felt was correct. And I did horribly. How did I know I did horribly? Because the game told me at the end of the chapter. It rated me on a literal 1 to 5 star rating system. There's no open-endedness, just a definite right and wrong. I felt restricted, scared, and uncertain every time I moved forward. The game was meant to be replayed, and I simply have too many other games to spend 50 hours on a 20-hour max title. It's just not fun enough. Looking for clues is painfully agonizing and slow, guide or not. I don't know who enjoys this. And when I've actually talked about the game with others, most people feel the same way. So why the stellar reviews? It does an adequate job of recreating a certain style of work, but that's just what it feels like, a chore, a boring, repetitious grind, with bland side quests and unneeded collectibles sprinkled on top to make LA Noire feel more like a sandbox game, when in actuality there is no need for the sandbox open world element to exist beyond being closer relatable to the Grand Theft Auto series. Seriously, take a look at the content existing beyond the literal mission or cases. You can collect 50 golden film reels, which merely unlock an achievement, or you can complete 20 street crimes, also for an achievement. These at least involve some kind of button pressing, such as shooting or beating up a bad guy, or conducting investigation that involves a singular clue to complete. Driving around the town will also reveal city landmarks that get marked on your map, supposedly accurate of Los Angeles in that time period, though admittedly not completely timely given the abandoned movie set for Intolerance. The Intolerance set also happens to be where the first major set piece in the game is highlighted. Much like something out of the Uncharted series of games, you chase down a criminal as scaffolding and planks of wood fall hundreds of feet to the ground, constantly jumping over gaps that any normal man would fail at. It's stupid. Even considering the protagonist's backstory, it just feels awkward in a game following a detective in the late 1940s. Some later moments in the game feel like a mixture of the movies Saw and Seven. Just what is LA Noire trying to be? A blockbuster? Game of the year? This potluck style approach to gameplay is only hurting the concise experience it could have been. As someone open to trying just about any video game, I certainly respect Team Bondi's choice to make this something different than just a standard sandbox shooter. Yet, I can't help but imagine the better game where you play as a villain creating the crimes. Hell, I'm almost upset Rockstar didn't take direct advantage of LA Noire's world and assets to create a Grand Theft Auto Los Angeles Stories of sorts. They had no problem doing this in the last generation of consoles, but it doesn't suit their current "we are super classy" business stance. So again, great job Team Bondi on making something different. It's just not as fun to me as a gamer, and I really tried to like it. The graphics are great for 2009, even with the creepy face tracking, but any game replicating reality won't look perfect years down the road. It's why I avoid playing AAA games on release, to avoid the hype of what is new at the moment. I have a few other random complaints that I just couldn't fit into a logical manner. Giving the gamer hints via the Rockstar Social Club, which sounds really gimmicky in itself, breaks the game, or at least any immersion it could have claimed to have. Combined with the rate of which you unlock its usage of free clues and answers a la Who Wants to Be a Millionaire with a dated and out-of-place leveling system is insane. Entering all 90-some cars in the game was a huge pain, adding hours to my overall playthrough. Now, to be fair, achievements are never necessary by any stretch of the imagination, but the developers considered it worthwhile enough to be included in some way, and I question that decision given most cars look fairly identical. Maybe that's just a complaint on the times, but granted, they did choose to include as many cars as they did. Lastly, the doubt option of interrogation was supposed to be called Force. Why wasn't this patched in the complete edition of LA Noire?